This is the little quilt sandwich for my upcoming patchwork pie holder. So it'll end up being like a 6-inch patchwork pie holder. What I did was just use crosshatch quilting to quilt my quilt sandwich. So this is the first little Halloween quilt sandwich on the menu today. This is a patchwork pie holder that I am working on. So you can see the little crosshatch quilt designs that I used with painter's tape, and I just sew on each line, move it, sew, move, sew, move, and that's how you do it. Yeah, this is my first quilt sandwich on the menu, and we can zoom in so that you can see the beautiful crosshatch quilting lines. I used black and orange thread to quilt this quilt sandwich and the crosshatch quilt design, and then we can zoom in so that you can see how cute it is. So this one, that's some gray thread. So it was black, orange, and gray thread that I used to quilt this quilt sandwich. And then what I did was pin base before I quilted. So I have some pins left in my quilt sandwich, and you make sure that you put a pin on the outside so that the fabric on the back won't get caught up, as you sew it, because the worst thing you can see is that the back fabric has folded over and got caught up, and then you sewn across it. So that's why I put these safety pins out here to make sure that my fabric doesn't get caught up. And then I make sure I put a pin in the middle right here so that you know where the top is. And again, this is the crosshatch quilting that I've done on my upcoming patchwork pot holder for Halloween. What do y'all think? Yeah. So we can zoom in. So this is really one of the easiest quilting lines that you can do. You just use painter's tape as a guide and just move it as necessary to make your, quilting lines. And like I said, on this one here, I used black, orange, and gray thread. So that's 3 colors of thread that I used. And then on the back, this is what it looks like. I was going to use that black print on the front, but I didn't remember that I had extra. So I know I had plenty of this, so I used this. And then just to find out that I had plenty of this. So that was kind of a disappointment. But once I made my quilt sandwich, I had pinned all of them together. I wasn't about to unpin it just to change the backing fabric, because you're going to use the front anyway. That's the focus part. So long as this part is right, I wasn't going to worry about the back. And again, this is my little Halloween quilt sandwich for my upcoming patchwork pot holder. Okay. All right. And my next item on the menu is another patchwork pot holder. A little quilt sandwich for a patchwork pot holder. This one here, this is the quilt sandwich for another one of my upcoming patchwork pot holders. And again, this is just crosshatch quilting again that I used painter's tape as a guide. And then we can zoom in to see the crosshatch quilting. And I feel that crosshatch quilting gives the quilted items like a vintage look. So this is a thank you. This is another one of my little Halloween quilt sandwiches. Thanks for the like. Thanks for the hearts. Yeah, I've been quilting 20 years, so if you're not subscribed, you should definitely subscribe. I have lots of upcoming quilted projects coming up. And this is my little Halloween quilt sandwich for another one of my upcoming. Thank you. Thank you. And hi, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. Okay? Hit the like, comment, share. You all know what they like. But yeah, these are the crosshatch quilting lines on my upcoming patchwork pot holder. So now all I have to do is square it up and then put the binding strip on. Okay, and see that I put that little pin up there so I know where the top is. So I put that pin in the middle so I'll know what the top is. And I use just orange and black quilting thread to quilt this quilt sandwich here. Okay, and then this is the back. And you can see the little crosshatch lines on the back too. And then this is the front again. Okay, my little crosshatch. What do you think about the print? I love how the orange pops off as the background color. I really like that. So yeah, this is my little Halloween quilt sandwich for my upcoming patchwork pot holder. Okay. And then my next item on the menu is, this is a mug rug. These are 60-degree triangles. When you're working with 60, so this is my little quilt sandwich for my upcoming Halloween mug rug. So this is a little Halloween quilt sandwich for my upcoming mug rug. Okay? And so these are 6-degree triangles. And I use matchstick quilting. I use 5 colors of thread to quilt this quilt sandwich. Okay. So you can see my little quilted 60-degree triangles. When you're working with 60-degree triangles, make sure that you have an odd number of triangles going across and an even number of triangles going down. So with this one, it was, I think, let's see, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then going down, I think it's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So odd number of triangles going across and an even number of triangles going down. Then you have to split the little triangles on the side down the middle to square it up. And then you have to have it an even number so it balances out. You see how that balances out? And then you wouldn't want to have one down here because that's going to mess it up. That's why it has to be an even number of triangles going down. And this is the front of my little Halloween quilt sandwich. using the matchstick quilting. So let's zoom in to see the little matchstick quilting lines. Okay. And these are my little matchstick quilting lines that I use to quilt my quilt sandwich. And as I finish my products, my quilted items, I will make other videos. I will also be doing other live videos. So check out my live videos. Make sure you check out my long form videos. Check out all of my videos. Yeah, so these are the matchstick quilting lines on my upcoming mug rug. And these are 60-degree triangles, which are, easy to work with once you get the hang of it. Just make sure that you don't stretch your triangles. That's important. Yeah, make sure the sides you're sewing on that you first make sure you're doing the grain right. Don't mess that up. And as you do your triangles, mark the top. You're going to flip them upside down because some are going to be up and some are going to be down. But you need to make sure that you're cutting them as good as you cut your squares and mark the top. Because you won't want the top facing over this way versus facing over here. Okay, so yeah, once you cut them out, you have to make sure that your grain is really important with working with 6-degree triangles, because you want to make sure that your prints are looking the way they're supposed to look. Like you wouldn't want the pumpkin head facing this way when it's supposed to face up there. So that's why it's important. The grain is important still with working with 60-degree triangle. So I love this black print the best out of all the Halloween prints I bought. This I've been working on this since last year, so this year I said let me go ahead and finish it. So yeah, this is it. And like I said, I use 5 colors of thread. So you can see the black, then there's orange, and there's gray, and then there's a light orange, and then there's one orange that's lighter than this. So it's 3 oranges. This is one orange. This is like one just a little lighter than this one, and then this is the lightest one. I was scared to use this one, but I said I was gonna go ahead and use it. And it doesn't just pop out like it doesn't belong, so that's what I was afraid of. But I said I bought it to use it, so I went ahead and used it, and I'm very pleased with the results. And so all I have to do with this little Halloween quilt sandwich is just square it up and put on the binding strip. And this is how it looks on the back. This is what you call matchstick quilting. You can use painter's tape as a guide. You can sew it. Then I sew a straight line and use that straight line as a guide. And then when you start to feel like your line is not straight as it should be, you have to lay that painter's tape down on that last line to kind of straighten it back up, because it will veer, So you just have to go in and try to get back on the straight and narrow. So yeah, so you can use your line. You're doing straight lines, so you can use your stitching line as a guide to keep the line straight. But if you feel like that line is veering to the side or something, you have to go back and use painter's tape to kind of straighten it up, and then go back to the stitch using the stitching line as a guide, and you know, vice versa, as you need to keep your line straight. So that's all I have to show. Well, that's really not all I have to show. I have this that I'm hoping I complete in time for Halloween. Now, I'm pretty sure I can probably have this done for Halloween, because I'm only like, it's not heavily quilted like matchstick quilting. It's not even as heavily quilted as the crosshatch quilt. But my concern is I'm trying to get this done for my live that I have scheduled for October 27th at 8 o'clock. So we will see. Okay, then I really want to get this done. Now, if I can get this done, I can really say I did something. I would love to get this done this Halloween season. But if I don't get it done this season, then I'll just have to show it off next season. I can't let it worry me now. I do want to have something to show that's really, really nice come October 27th. So we shall see. I'll try my best. I'll try my best. But yeah, this is the apple core quilt block. And see, for this, like I've said for several times, when I go to put this binding strip on this apple core uh, quilted item, you have to cut your strips on the bias, because you have to take that bias strip around the curves, and it's not gonna work with you cutting your strips on the straight across, like just strips. You have to cut it on the bias, not just harvest on the strips. So you will be cutting your strips diagonal. So you fold your fabric down to make a 45-degree angle, then you press it down and cut that along that little line, that folded line, and then cut your strips diagonally using that folded line as a guide for the bias strips. And then yeah. So yeah, this is what I hope. If the stars line up for me for Halloween, I'll have this done. So of course, only time will tell. But this is what I really want to get done, because this is all mine once it gets finished, okay? And then I have a little sneak peek for you since you held out. This is the direction I'm going in for Christmas. This is what you call the Drunkard's Path quilt block, okay? So when you use this quilt block, you have to, once you get your pieces cut, you fold them and match up the middle points for each print, and then pin your fabric together on the curve, and then you would sew it. Now I'm not, even though it slits in these rulers, these templates, I'm not gonna slit my fabric. I wasn't taught to do that, but I guess that some people have started doing. But I won't be putting those slits. Okay. So this is a smaller template for the Drunkard's Pad. Okay. And then, hi everybody in the chat. And then this is a bigger template. So this is the direction I'm going in for Christmas. So stay tuned for that. So I'll eventually use this big one to make like a big size Drunkard's Path quilt. So there's something to look forward to. So yeah. So that's where I'm headed. And as soon as I get my little Drunkard's Path pieces cut, I'll do a short so that you all can see that. So I'll be doing it probably in the next couple of hours. Okay. And again, this is what I'm really proud of. So thanks for stopping by. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Go and check out some of my other videos. Check you later.